We're acquiring 60% equity in a medical services business. So what these guys do, they import, market, and distribute medical, surgical, and dental products into South Africa. That will also
Is this a real deal?
yes.
Okay.
I will also include laboratory and diagnostic instruments and equipment. Their main suppliers are all overseas businesses, Pfizer's and them, and they don't have any manufacturing presence in South Africa. So they use these guys to import the products into the country. Now their revenue is about 72 for 2018 and an excess of 90 million for 2019, ending in February. 31% of the sales, which is that of that 72 million, is private sector, and the balance, which is 69, is public sector.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing
And when you say public sector, define what that means.
Public sector would be they supply medical equipment, dental equipment to the army, to the state laboratory, to the clinics, state clinics, state-owned hospitals, and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah. And they make an EBITDA of about 14.5 million per annum with a GP of about 20%. Net cash is about 9 million. Now, the company value, we valued the company at around about 55 million. Mind you, we are acquiring 60% equity, which is, we need to raise capital of about 33 million rand. And the bank, we took an investment teaser and we sent it to 5 banks. Only one has responded so far because it was just before the festive, the holiday season. So we are working off the numbers that we've received from this one bank then says, look, we're prepared to finance 80% of this. You go and contribute 20%. And that 80 translates to 26.4 million at prime -1 over a period of 6 years. And
what is prime there now?
In South Africa, it's 10. So -1 is...
Okay.
Yeah. And then we looked at it and said, okay, fine, the balance, which is 20%, is about 6.6, and with that we'll use that as vendor finance. We will be negotiating with the seller as of the business, when the business starts in mid-Jan. Bank loan, we calculated it to be around about 30.8. That will include your working capital of just less than 10% of the overall EBITDA. Debt payment per annum will be around about 33.3 million. Now, going forward, we see a great potential in this business. Why? Because they are located, I was just making a small map here of South Africa. They have presence in Johannesburg, presence in Cape Town, and presence in Durban. But that's where they miss the point, because since 1994, there's been over 3,500 healthcare facilities that have been built throughout the country. Of the 3,500, a third of that has been built in the Western Cape. No, in the Cape. You know, the area that used to be the former Bantustan's and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that area is relatively more impoverished. So that's why the government invested a lot of healthcare infrastructure into those areas. And these guys have got no presence there. A third of your entire government's expenditure, you have no presence in. So we looked at how we knew about that. We had a chat with them about it as well. How we know about it is because part and parcel of the infrastructure developments that were taking place there, we were involved in them. And so we know how they think. So what infrastructure are we talking about? It's a combination of extending regional hospitals to becoming bigger, a combination of refurbishments, a combination of building newer clinics in the more rural areas, building slightly smaller hospitals that they call daycare hospitals, and building mobile clinics as well, meaning it's mainly made of your prefabbs type structures and all of that. So this business supplies all of the material that you need inside a hospital, and they have no presence in that area. So we looked at that and we said, okay, fine. Why are you guys not there? They said, because the way the area is structured in the politics of the country, we need to have minority equity in the business to be there. So first, you, Anila, coming in as an equity partner at 60% changes our entire dynamics. That's it.
They have to be minority, so now they are minority.
Yeah. No, it's what you guys call a minority play. We are, in fact, it's a majority in South Africa. Which is, there's more blacks in South Africa. You know what I mean? So,
I think we all know that.
Yeah, but in this particular area, the emphasis is that the business that are going to be investing in fact, that are going to be sourcing most government services, they need to be that compliant. So we haven't since done what the projections would be once the structure changes. At the moment, what we've done, we've given them. We've gone through we've given them a letter of expression of interest, and we stuck to our 60% for now. Why 60%? Why not the whole business? Is because our approach as an investor is that we always say the seller knows the business more than we do. They have, over a period of time, built the business, and these numbers confirm that. He's passionate about the business. He's a willing seller. He wants a partnership, and he's painted himself into a corner, and he would want to tap into that public sector market, and it changes the dynamics of your revenue. And so we come in, take a 60% position, and he runs the business. He puts the projections, him and his management team puts the projections, we look at it with our accountants, and we verify them to be authentic, and then he has to deliver according to that. So he's looking at a 5 to 7 year exit plan, and in that process, probably from our side, we might look into bringing in a pension fund to take on a position, and then we sell out. So that's one. Secondly, you've got state finance institutions that are looking at these types of businesses. They're saying, we can't finance you because you're an importer of these products. If you could start a manufacturing operation of 1 or 2 or 3 of these products, then we will finance you. We will take the entire risk. So we've went there and tested that, and one of them is the Industrial Development Corporation, and they said, look, post your acquisition, come and talk to us, and we can then start putting together a plan, draw feasibility, and what would be a plant that would manufacture and process this equipment, how much it would cost. They will finance that. So far, this is where we are.
And so you got one bank proposal back.
Yes, we haven't received the rest from the others because we assume that they're on holiday. In fact, they are on holiday. You know.
So this business is a black-owned business?
No.
White-owned?
White-owned.
So what's the next step?
The next step for us is he's received our expression of interest according to this structure, and when we open, they are opening around about the 7th of January. Then we are having a meeting to take the process further.
Okay. what would be? Let's just assume that this is the best bank deal.
Yes.
The other bank deals come back and they're not as good as this one. Okay.
Yes.
Then what's the next step?
The next step for us would be we'll sit with that bank. They will prepare a term sheet and maybe give us about 30 to 60 days. And we sit with the owner. If he agrees, the bank will go through the due diligence, of which we have done that with Deloitte already. And we've given a copy of our Deloitte due diligence to the bank. And then the application process would start. Not the application, but the process of disbursement of funds would start. And that we're looking at, I'd say, according to this financier, this bank here, by March, end of March.
Okay. And how does this fit in with your other acquisitions, if at all?
This one is our first entry into the medical space, health sector. Because we reckon in Africa, where we need to play the most is in the food security space, which is agriculture, IT, healthcare. Those three.
Mm-hmm.
And all of our acquisitions at the moment are within those, the dairy, soybean and wheat farms that we're looking at, this medical, as well as another one, Work Online, which is a fiber optic business that articulates fiber throughout South Africa and the rural areas, the village areas.
Okay.
Mr. Ben, since he's not in medical right now, would there be any advice on him when this deal gets further, having a consultant that's in the medical equipment space look at this and advise?
Well, I mean, it depends on who's on his board, because he's got a varied board, because he's building a conglomerate. Who really would best understand this on the board level. And in addition to, I'm sure the accountants have somebody in their organization that is an expert in this area.
Yes.
That will look at the
Yes.
the pros and the cons of it, and so he's going to be able to get a expert opinion for somebody that's actually had boots on the ground. But the answer is yes, he needs that.
Plus, what we do as well is that whatever we raise from the bank, from our side, whatever capital, it's not for the purpose of the owner. It's for the business. It's for growing the business. So that money goes straight into growing the business. Obviously, we make some bonuses here and there in the process from our side. But the intent is to grow the business so that when we build to a point where when comes the time that we need to plan an exit, the value of the business is quadrupled. Yeah. Another thing about this business as well is that is a footprint. He only has outside South Africa only 2 other Southern African countries where he has footprint, and there's a potential to take up to 6 at the moment as a result of what we will invest. Mm-hmm. And the good thing about it as well is that the initial investment, say if you go into a new area, to a new market, there's no plants that you need or processing machinery and all of that you need to put up. It's just an empty warehouse with a small office. You bring in the stuff in there, it gets locked, the security, that's it. Cooled as well with an aircon and that's it. So the investment costs when you're going into the new market is not as great as you would if you were to put a full laboratory from scratch. So our plan was to say, look, when we post-acquisition, when we now go back to IDC, the state financiers, we will locate the processing plant right in the middle there in Johannesburg. It tends to serve the central point for distributing to the rest of the Southern African continent.
And I mean that the entire African continent, not just.
Yes. I mean, at the moment, it is widely communicated, media in every way, various investments as well, that Johannesburg is a gateway into the continent, because all your top 50 listed entities are listed in Johannesburg.
Mm-hmm.
Your big law firms are there as well, your accounting law firms are there, all your big banks are there.
Nelly, how big is this company in relation to other players in the space?
In relation to, that's another important part, because they have a market